Good morning, girls. Good morning. It's good to see you girls on here. It's cold here too. It's 31. That tastes funky. Nothing tastes right anymore. All right. Good morning. Had to get out a new bookmark yesterday. The cover of my Alka-Seltz so I can remember how I started my year. You did, Elizabeth. Oh, I'm so sorry, Rita. That's no fun. Snow. I don't miss snow at all. All right, girls. January 3rd. The flood covers the earth. Genesis 7:1-24. When everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the boat with all of your family, for among all the people of the earth I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female, of each." Wait a minute. Did we read about the building of the ark yesterday? I literally don't even remember. Was that yesterday? My head ain't working, you guys. All of a sudden, I'm reading about the flood covering the earth, and I'm like, wait, have we even read about Noah yet? But we did. I look back at it. My brain is twisted up. All right. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female, of each animal I have approved for eating and for sacrifice, and take 1 pair of each of the others, and also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and female in each pair to ensure that all life will survive on the earth after the flood. 7 days from now, I will make the rains pour down on the earth, and it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights, until I have wiped from the earth all the living things I have created. So Noah did everything as the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood, he and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them were all various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with the birds and the small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. After 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. The rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. That very day, Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them in the boat were pairs of every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, along with birds of every kind. 2 by 2 they came into the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. A male and female of each kind entered, just as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. For 40 days the flood waters grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains of the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. All the living things on earth died: birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on the earth: people, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and the birds of the sky. All were destroyed. The people who survived were Noah and those with him in the boat, and the floodwaters covered the earth for 150 days. The flood recedes, Genesis 8:1-22. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with him in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the floodwaters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the sky were stopped. So the floodwaters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to a rest on the mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could find no place to land, so because the water still could find no dry land because the water still covered the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time, the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again, and this time it did not come back. Noah was now 601 years old. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months. Bassy, stop, buddy. 10.5 months. 10.5 months after the flood began, the floodwaters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. I'd imagine that'd be such a weird time. When Noah built an altar to the Lord, then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed his burnt offerings, the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent towards evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." God's covenant with Noah, Genesis 9, 1 through 17. Then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth. All the animals of the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish of the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. I have given them to you for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables. But you must never eat any meat that still has lifeblood in it. And I will require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. If a wild animal kills a person, it must die, and anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in his own image. Now be fruitful and multiply and repopulate the earth." Then God told Noah and his sons, "I hereby confirm my covenant with you and your descendants, and with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds, livestock, and the wild animals, every living creature on the earth. Yes, I am confirming my covenant with you. Never again will the floodwaters kill all the living creatures. Never again will a flood destroy all the earth." Then God said, "I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you and with all living creatures for all generations to come. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is the sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, a rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth." Then God said to Noah, "Yes, this rainbow is a sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on the earth." Noah's sons, Genesis 9, 18 through 10:1. The sons of Noah came out of the boat with their father Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. From these 3 sons of Noah came all the people who now populate the earth. After the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground, and he planted a vineyard. One day he drank some wine he made, and he became drunk and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went outside and told his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe and held it over their shoulders, backwards into the tent to cover their father. As they did this, they looked the other way so they would not see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned what Ham, his youngest son, had done. Then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. "May Canaan be cursed. May he be the lowest of servants to his relatives." Then Noah said, "May the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed, and may Canaan be his servant. May God expand the territory of Japheth. May Japheth share the prosperity of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant." Noah lived another 350 years after the great flood. He lived 950 years and then he died. This is the account of the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and the three sons of Noah. Many children were born to them after the great flood. Descendants of Japheth, Genesis 10, 2-5. The descendants of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The descendants of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Ripha, and Togarmah. The descendants of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. Their descendants became a seafaring people that spread out to various lands, each identified by its own language, clan, and national identity. 1 Chronicles 1, 5-7. The descendants of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The descendants of Gomer were Gomer. Gomer. I forgot phonics for a minute. Were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The descendants of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. Descendants of Ham, Genesis 10, 6-20. The descendants of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The descendants of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteca. The descendants of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush was also the ancestor of Nimrod, who was the first heroic warrior on earth. Since he was the greatest hunter in the world, his name became proverbial. People would say, "This man is like Nimrod, the greatest hunter in the world." He built his kingdom. It doesn't make you wonder how it went from good to bad. This man is like Nimrod, the greatest hunter in the world. He built his kingdom in the land of Babylonia, with the cities of Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh. From there, he expanded his territory to Assyria, building the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Resen, the great city located between Nineveh and Calah. Sebastian, stop. Mizraim was the ancestor of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Nephathites, Pathrusites, Cashalites, and Chalcites, and the Caphtorites, from whom the Philistines came. Canaan's oldest brother was Sidon, the ancestor of the Sidonians. Canaan was also the ancestor of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Arkites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. The Canaanite clans eventually spread out, and the territory of Canaan extended from Sidon in the north to Gerar and Gaza in the south. I just busted my necklace. And it's falling down into my bra. I'm just going to let it go. Sorry. The Canaanite clans eventually spread out, and the territory of Canaan extended from Sidon in the north to Gerar and Gaza in the southeast, as far as Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, near Lasha. These were the descendants of Ham, identified by clan, language, territory, and national identity. Hold on. That is, I cannot believe that necklace just broke. That is not a cheap necklace and not a good thing. Those beads are everywhere. 1 Chronicles 1, 8-16. The descendants of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The descendants of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteca. The descendants of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush was also the ancestor of Nimrod, who was the first heroic warrior on earth. Mizraim was the ancestor of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuhites, Pathrusites, Chalcites, and the Caphtorites, from whom the Philistines came. Canaan's oldest son was Sidon, the ancestor of the Sidonians. Canaan was also the ancestor of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Arkites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. The descendants of Shem, Genesis 10, 21-30. Sons were also born to Shem, the older brother of Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the descendants of Eber. The descendants of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram, and the descendants of Aram were Uz, Hol, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah was the father of Eber. Eber had two sons. The first was Peleg, which means division. During his lifetime, people of the world were divided into different language groups. His brother's name was Joktan. Joktan was the ancestor of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. These were the descendants of Joktan. The territory they occupied extended from Mesha all the way to Sephir in the eastern mountains. 1 Chronicles 1:17 through 23. The descendants of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The descendants of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah. Shelah was the father of Eber. Eber had 2 sons. The first was named Peleg, which means division. For during his lifetime, the people of the world were divided into 2 different language groups. His brother's name was Joktan. Joktan was the ancestor of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. These were the descendants of Joktan. Genesis 10:31 through 32. These were the descendants of Shem, identified by clan, language, territory, and national identity. These are the clans that descended from Noah's sons, arranged by nation according to their lines of descent. All the nations of the earth descended from these clans after the great flood. Okay. All right. I do have our new devotional today. And I think I'm ready to get started on it. So I need to get the description up, and I haven't done that yet, but that's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. This is called Learning to Live Above, and this is generously allowed for us to read by the author Carmen McLean. And she is cousin or niece to our beautiful Karen McLemurray. So we are going to read this, and it's not like there's a rose petal. I bought this copy used. There's a rose petal in there. Each day, it looks like we can read a chapter a day because each chapter is like a couple of pages. So that's what we're going to do. Cousin. Okay, that's what I thought, Karen. That's what I thought. All right, so the very first, and I've put the link in my Facebook, in the community group. The link is in there. If you need the link to purchase, let me know as well. It's in yesterday's devotions. I saw Cindy posted it there too. All right. Chapter 1, the devil's in the details. Proverbs 3:5 through 6 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. I love that. If that doesn't apply to our health journey, I mean, and what we're talking about this month in coaching about surrender, lean not on your own understanding, but in your ways, acknowledge him. Like, it's powerful. Have you ever heard the phrase, the devil is in the details? It is a fairly common phrase meaning that if the details are overlooked, even in the best laid plans, serious problems can arise. This is quite true, but this phrase took on a different meaning for me a few years ago. You see, I am a details person. I will go through great angst to think through every detail in order to work something out. Unfortunately, that fixation on details has caused me a great deal of anxiety and frustration. Several years ago, my family was going through a major transition in our lives, and we were asking God to guide us. During this time, God gave us a peace in knowing that he was leading us, but I began to feel frustration growing the more I focused on the details. We were changing cities, my husband was changing jobs, my kids were changing schools, and everything in our lives seemed to be changing. I started wondering, when is our house going to sell? Where are we going to live? How are we going to pay for the move? How will this change affect my kids? My mind was getting bombarded with questions, and I did not have a single answer. I continued to pray and trust God to lead us, but I really wanted to know some details. Finally, I broke. Falling on my face before God, I cried out, Lord, I know you are leading us, but I need to know how you are going to work this out. Just then the Lord spoke quietly to my heart. He said, I am the God of details. Jumping to my feet, I eagerly declared, that's great. I love details. I just knew that God was getting ready to divulge exactly how he was planning to fix all my issues. Unfortunately, there was nothing but silence, And then I realized what God was actually saying to me. He was going to take care of the details because that is his job. My job is to trust. Although that was hard medicine for me to swallow, I knew that it was true. As I let this news sink in, I began saying, I trust you, Lord. You are in charge of the details. A sweet peace settled over my soul and my anxiety dissipated. More than a few times, I had to go back to that moment and remind myself that God was in charge of even the little things. That's when the phrase, the devil is in the details, took on a new meaning for me. I have noticed that oftentimes the devil hides out in the details and he lures us into these cluttered areas. It is when we try to figure it out or work out all the little intricacies of the situation or try to understand everything that we fall into the biggest traps. Before we know it, we are over our head in the details, and it completely consumes us. All the noise and clutter drowns out the voice of God in our hearts, and then we have trouble hearing from him and receiving his peace. In Isaiah 46:10, God tells us, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. God knows the end of our situation before it even begins, and he knows how to guide us through it safely and smoothly. The problem comes when we try to figure out the route. He has determined a purpose for each one of us, and he will accomplish that purpose in us if we trust him. God will even share the details with us when we need it, but not before time. He shared with Joshua the details of his march around the promised land, but not until Joshua got right up next to the wall. God gave Moses the details of how to bring water from a rock in the desert, but not until they were at the point of thirst. God told Hezekiah the details for the plan of attack, but not until the enemy was at the threshold. God does give details, but only when we need to implement them. He wants us to trust him completely, knowing that he will give us the details as we need them. The word trust literally means an unquestioning belief and reliance in someone or something. A dependence on details creates an independence from God. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. When we trust, then we don't lean on our own understanding. When we try to figure everything out and know all the details, then we have a hard time trusting. When we acknowledge God in all of our ways, then he makes our paths easy to see. So if you find yourself frustrated because you are asking how, when, and why not receiving any answers, then you may have been lured into the forest of the details. To find your way out, all you have to do is call to your heavenly Father. Tell him that you trust him to handle the details. Once you receive the peace that comes with trust, then your path will be easier to see. That's really good. Sure does, doesn't it, Cindy? It's like spot on with what we're talking about this month in coaching. Whoops, sorry. See, somebody said the word surrender and my auto thing is sending. Sorry. Sending. Now you know, Cindy, how to join Sweet Surrender. Oh, I think it's going to be really good, Meredith. I'm going to scroll back, make sure I didn't miss any chat. Ooh, figure skating, fun. Oh my gosh, Jill. I'm feeling, I hate to say I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better than I was. My head, it's a little bit better this morning than it was when I went to bed last night, but my head has been hurting so bad. I cannot get away from the terrible, terrible headache. It's been just all-consuming headache. Yesterday was really, really, really bad headache. Just, I got out of the house and got some fresh air, and by the time we got home, we were gone like maybe 3 hours. The whole time I sat in the car, and when we got home, I slept for 3.5 hours. Like, I don't know how, it's ridiculous. I shouldn't feel this way, but I am so exhausted that like I was telling my group this morning that I just up making coffee and like walking around the kitchen and just not you and that stupid carrot. You not really doing anything but just walking around felt like it was taking every single ounce of muscular energy I could muster. Like I just feel so ridiculously weak. Sorry. That carrot is going to be the death of me. I just feel really, really, really weak and have a severe headache. I don't know. As the day goes on, the headache has been getting like worse and worse until I go to bed and try to sleep through it. And it's been terrible. I don't know. It's the Hasty. Take that carrot somewhere else. Take that carrot somewhere else. Take it. Get your carrot and go. Here. Go. Take it somewhere else. All right. Yeah, Elizabeth. The headache is miserable. It's been too cold. Celtic salt. No, I can't say that I've had any Celtic salt. Sorry, Elizabeth, you got the autoresponder too. I gotta use less common keywords, I guess. I've been taking Elizabeth, I've been taking Tylenol and ibuprofen together. I've tried Excedrin migraine. I've tried NyQuil. I've tried Dayquil. I've tried Sudafed. I've tried headache wraps. I've tried essential oils, aspirin, oxycillium. Nothing has helped my headache. It's just been unbelievable. That and the lack of energy. I literally go lay on the couch for 10 hours at a time and just watch TV and sleep and watch TV and sleep. I don't know. I feel ridiculous. Like I should be beyond this by now. I feel almost like I'm wimpy because I can't, but it's just been, it was not this hard the first time I had it. First time I had it, I was sicker, but it didn't last nearly as long. Didn't last nearly as long. Erica, a couple people have mentioned that, but I think I'm negative now, and I don't even wouldn't even have a clue where to get that. Heroin. Okay, Jamie, good to know. Thank you. I'll check the corner and see if anyone has any of the subdivision. That won't be weird at all if I go stand on the corner of the subdivision and ask any of the, you know, anybody. Mm-mm. I took Paxlovid the first time I had it, Susan. I did not take it this time, and Paxlovid was miserable. So I didn't take it this time, which is probably why it's lasting longer than the first time. Because the first time, 10 days after I went to Nashville, I didn't feel great, but I was better. So she's a huge help, Jamie. That's why she's my favorite admin. She's crazy. All right. Well, if you know a good source, Erica, my headset just switched. I hope my sound is still on. I did not mean for it to do that. If you know a good source, let me know because I get really nervous about ordering stuff off the internet like that. Like I don't know, it makes me very nervous because there's a lot of psychos out there. But all right, let's go ahead and end in prayer. God our Father, thank you for our time together. Thank you for the reading of your word this morning and the reminder of the promise you've given us, the promise of the rainbow. And may we all remember that God. I thank you for each woman here. The list of prayer requests is so long. I will never remember them all, but diagnoses of cancer and children struggling and sickness going around and travel and family loss and just so many things that are at the top of our list today of prayer requests. But you know each and every one. You know the details because you are the God of details. You know the details of our lives. You know the details of our future. And you just call us to trust in you, God. And I pray that that's what you will help us to do today. Help us to not lean on our own understanding, but to lay each and every concern and worry down at your feet and trust in you in the details, because you are the author of our lives. You are the finisher of our faith. And I just pray that you will help us to keep that close to our hearts today and trust in you for every single area of our life. In your precious name, amen. All right, friends. Yeah, the side effects of Paxlovid were pretty not great. I know you do, Meredith. You made me nervous. I'm a nervous Nelly when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I don't even like ordering random ingredients from places I don't know that well because I'm afraid what's in it. So it's unlikely for me to order a med off the internet. I'm not trusting. Like, when those meds, like ivermectin, when they first found that it was helping and people were able to get it and it was helping, I was like, yeah, okay. But then as we continue, there's a lot of people like that see the opportunity to take advantage of others. And so I get nervous, like, oh, ivermectin, well, let's sell this and call it ivermectin and, make money off it. That's where I get nervous. Like, so you get this head in the mail and you're like, is it ivermectin? Is it sugar pills? Is it something bad? Like, I'm not very trusting. I know. I don't really anymore, Meredith. I ordered there once. I ordered there once and then was like, no, I'm not ordering from there anymore. It's garbage. And I was reading about how like 99% of the things that you order from Shein and Sebastian, what did you just do? Bessie! Carrot's got to go in the garbage now. You just lost the carrot. He just pulled out the stuffing. Dang it. Now I either got to sew a slimy carrot or I got to throw it away because he just ripped a great big hole and just pulled stuffing out. Anyway, I was reading how like 98% of the stuff has really dangerous levels of lead and stuff in it from Temu and Shine. So no, I don't order from there anymore. Not that my clothes from Walmart are probably any better. All right, girls, my battery's about to die. I love you. No, I better not get 100 squeaky carrots in the mail as it is. This one's about to find its way into the bin. All right. I love you guys. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I have to go record some education. It has to get done today. So please pray for me because my voice is already starting to give out and I've got to record education. So I love you, girls. I hope you have an amazing Friday, end of the first week of the year. And I will see you all back tomorrow.